Vigilante Williamson here with DC fandom coverage. This is also a quick disclaimer. Basically, I did a bunch of trailer reaction videos, and unfortunately, my first one got copyright claimed, so I don't want to put up the other ones because I'm a brand new channel, and the last thing I need is a bunch of copyright claims. So this video is going up first, even though this is really a wrap-up of all the trailers that I had done previously. So I may sound a little crazy because I think that there are trailer videos uploaded that aren't because I couldn't upload them. But I will upload either those reactions themselves without the trailer, or in the case of the Batman movie, I'm going to do a frame-by-frame breakdown, not of every frame, but of a lot of cool parts, because I'm really excited about that movie. All right, on with the video. Vigilante Williamson here with a very simple question. What did you think of DC fandom? I was pretty excited. I've been pretty happy with it. Either way, this would be my wrap up of DC fandom coverage. I've been pretty excited. I think I've been optimistic, or at worst cautiously optimistic, about a lot of the material. I didn't see every single panel. I didn't see everything. I think overall these virtual cons are not great. I think you can't replace the energy of fans. I really think they should look into what wrestling is doing. I am a wrestling fan, but I haven't really watched since COVID. I thought losing the fans really impacted wrestling and really hurt it. But very recently, they just did this Thunderdome thing where they had all the different fans on the screen, and you can kind of hear the fans, and it brought a different energy. And I think these cons in general need to come up with a new way of presenting what they're presenting, because without the fan interaction, there's just something lost. That fandom was very interesting, and as far as wrestling goes, I went from a lapsed fan to a diehard fan to a casual fan, and then when COVID came, I just stopped watching. So for that to get me more interested just by its presentation just shows how much a presentation change can have a huge impact. And we don't know how long this thing is going to last, so we really need to come up with new ways of presenting things if we're going to do these virtual cons. And I think, all these cons are kind of suffering from that. But as far as the content produced, as far as these trailers, as far as the actual things that cons really do, they get you excited about the future. Here are all these future projects. I'm really excited about all the projects I covered. I didn't cover everything. It was so much, and so I'm missing stuff, and I may do more videos again. But I'm really excited to kind of wrap up everything. This Wonder Woman trailer, I said it in a couple other videos. I thought a lot of people made a lot about this Maxwell Lord. He looks kind of interesting to me. I do not get the Trump vibe per se. I get that 80s businessman vibe, and I get why you may link it with Trump, and I'm sure there's going to be some linkage with Trump. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of wokeness, but I don't really get that Trump vibe. I get more of a 80s Tony Robbins self-help businessman mix, like a Gordon Gekko Tony Robbins mix. So I don't really feel Trump. They may have him look like it. He may kind of do certain mannerisms, but that character feels a little bit different than Trump. It's something, it's a trope, but I don't think it's necessarily Trump. So I think that, I think anyone worried about that is worried about nothing. I thought the action looked pretty good. I thought the original Wonder Woman, well, not the original, actually that was cool because Linda Carter was actually on the panel. So that was really cool as far as the original Wonder Woman. But the first Wonder Woman movie they did was really good. It was surprisingly good. And I think this one looks really good as well. As I said in the trailer, I think 1984 is an ominous year to pick out of all the years in the 80s, especially with everything that's going on. The Justice League, I am kind of mixed, as we see RZA talk about Kill Bill. I'm kind of mixed because I'm always mixed about Zack Snyder. I think there's things he does incredibly well and things he does incredibly poorly. And so I don't know what I'm going to get from this, but I think it looks really, really, really good. I like the fact that the Justice League Snyder Cut is going to be 4 episodes, especially because I am a little bit interested in having a Batman Batfleck spinoff. I heard rumors about that. If this can be a soft little pilot for that, a backdoor pilot for that, I would be really excited. So that's my kind of personal interest, because I just want a live action Batman series. I'm a huge Batman fan, and even though I think they kind of are teetering over the top and sometimes can get into overexposure mode with Batman, I would love a just genuine, gritty, dark Batman live action series. I know they're talking about doing a Gotham series, another Gotham series for the Batman spinoff of The Batman, which I'll get into a little bit later in this video. But I would really love a Batfleck spinoff into his own HBO Max series. That would really put me on that. I think my big thing with HBO Max is not being on Roku. That really hurts. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it looks cool. It looks a hell of a lot better than what we got from Joss Whedon. I hope Joss Whedon being under investigation doesn't hurt or color this actual movie. You know what, that just popped up, something else I'll talk about, why I didn't do a video on the Suicide Squad. Let's just say I think James Gunn is a fan of cuties. So we can go there. Because, I mean, a lot of his tweets were just edgelord stuff, but some of those tweets showed support for that sort of stuff, and that just kind of puts me off James Gunn. And I have a hot take, and I know anyone who's watching this video, I may lose subs over this take, but I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy. I know I'm the only one. I just do not like Star-Lord. I actually like Chris Pratt and other things, but I just think, Star-Lord is just the most try-hard character. I hate him in Infinity War. I hate him in everything. I know that's a tangent because I had James Gunn. This is how my mind works. This is what happens as I bump into stuff. But I didn't cover the Suicide Squad because I don't like dealing with James Gunn, and I'm not as big of a fan to cover up from whether or not he's joking about that sort of thing, and I don't play that, and that's just sick. So that's why I'm not talking about that. Anyways, as far as the Snyder Cut, I think I'm really excited that fans won. I'm excited that fans got this, as it says, this grassroots campaign. You know, they joked about it, but we got it. And even though I really wasn't a part of the whole thing, as a fan who's been beaten down by content, I am just happy that the Snyder Cut is coming out. Is it going to be perfect? I don't think so. But I think it'll be good, and it's good that they are doing reshoots. So that shows they're adding more energy. They're coming in with that new energy, especially with the old footage they already have shot. They're coming in looking to make something good for the fans. So that energy I'm really happy about. So the Batman, a little wrap up with that. I like Catwoman in this. I had to actually watch the trailer a second time to actually see where she was, because seeing through a mask sucks. More RZA. I guess because I'm on Variety. A lot of RZA. Shout out to RZA. Love RZA. He's fucking great. I like this trailer. Had the Nirvana. I hope I don't get copyright struck. I hope I don't get copyright strike from all the little trailers with all the different music they play in it, but I digress. I like Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. I really wish we would have saw more J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. He didn't really get a chance, and it would have been interesting to see his Commissioner Gordon, but I like Jeffrey Wright. He's a really good actor. He'll always be Dr. Narcisse to me from Boardwalk Empire, just like Robert Pattinson will always be Edward or whatever he was in Twilight, but he looks interesting in Bruce Wayne. He looks broken and dark, and he looks brutal as Batman. He looks like he was lying about not working out, which is good. So I'm really excited about this. It's this year 2 story, and you see, Batman almost near lo-fi as far as his technology. You see the Batmobile is kind of something he could have built himself, and I like that. And I'm not sure if that Nirvana theme was a tip to this being more 90s-esque. I'm not sure if this is going to exist in that film noir Bruce Timm style, where it just has no time, it's timeless. A blimp could show up, but you might be on a cell phone and you might have a computer on the internet. It's all in its own time, in its own era. So maybe that's what they're going to do. It definitely kind of feels like, I hate to say Seattle, Portland, because I think that has a different context now, but 90s Seattle. You know what I mean? That's what the Gotham they're going with. It feels like Gotham is kind of a different city in each iteration. You know, it's always thought to be New York, but in the Dark Knight series, Gotham is really Chicago and in parts Pittsburgh, but that's really the city it feels like, not just because that's the city it is, but that's what it feels like. It feels like it could be Chicago more than it could be New York. Just like that, this feels like it could be the Pacific Northwest. It feels grungy and just 90s and moody, and it just feels like, I think that's why the Nirvana fits. It feels like, you know, you could have used Pearl Jam, you could have used anything from that era, and it would have just fit. I don't know if Pearl Jam, because I think you needed that slow brooding type song to kind of really work. You could have used Smashing Pumpkins. You could have used just a grunge band of anything that felt 90s grunge or alt rock that brooded slow would work, because that's just what this feels like. It feels like the 90s, 2000s era of the Pacific Northwest, and depressing and dark and like Seven a little bit. I really got real Seven, John Doe vibes from the Riddler, and I'm really, really happy about that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about this movie. I think a lot of people were worried that Bruce may be too weak. I am a little, but I'm not. I think he looks like he can be tough enough. I just hope they don't go. They're going to show a more emotional Bruce. They may show elements of him breaking down, maybe mentally or emotionally. I don't necessarily mind that as long as he's not weak. I don't think a character having the flaw of having breakdowns, especially with how traumatized Bruce is, not just is as Bruce Wayne from his trauma of the parents, but what was kind of dealt with in a silly way in Batman Forever. But Bruce Wayne as Batman has PTSD for being Batman, and even in a year or two, this is supposed to be year 2, and in the trailer it says something about, oh, you know, you have fans or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote that Alfred said, but you become a celebrity, I think it is. And that Riddler is writing things for him, and that might psychologically break him down. I've heard the word humanist in reference to this movie, and we'll see what it really means relative to the movie. I hope it doesn't mean a weak, soft Batman. It doesn't look like it. He looked brutal. Maybe he'll have his moments, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with showing Batman be vulnerable as long as he's still a hero at the end and is still overcoming his vulnerability and what makes him weak, to use it as the fuel to make him strong. That's what Batman is all about. And if that's what we get, I'll be happy. And I think he's going to turn out to be a good choice. It's going to be the Heath Ledger thing all over again. Everyone was afraid of Heath Ledger. Now he has the most iconic performance of the Joker, with all respect to Joaquin Phoenix. Okay, Gotham Knights. Really excited about this. The gameplay showed a lot more. I think having a gameplay trailer is always a good thing, because relative to Suicide Squad, I'm a little more nervous about Suicide Squad, but I am less so about Gotham Knights. The gameplay looks really good. It looks like they're both going to probably be using a variance of the Arkham engine, because this looked like the Arkham engine was used, but Rocksteady is actually making this game, the Suicide Squad game. I think with me, I'm just frustrated to see another dark Superman is evil again, because he can never be Superman, and I'm just really frustrated with never just getting a classic Superman. But I digress. I'm excited for both games. I think both games are going to be good, especially if they use that Arkham engine. It's kind of hard to fail with that. So I think variants of that engine, they should make good games. They both have team elements and different characters with different abilities. I think that'll be more interesting. And they're both kind of competing with this Avengers game. Even though the Avengers game is going to be coming out before them, that game is designed to be a long-lasting, long-developed game. A game that should be developed and added on to for years to come. So they're both going to go up against that game and be compared to that game ultimately, if that game is going to be successful and actually last as long as everyone says. So it's kind of interesting to see that juxtaposition. And then the last thing to kind of go over, the Static Shock. We'll see about this. Anything that's in development nowadays is just a rumor, because even if they say, yeah, we're developing or we're talking about it, and they even talked about potentially having milestone characters in other media and other forms of media, with the way budgets are going, with AT&T, which owns all of DC, which did a lot of layoffs and a lot of cutting of the fat recently, there's no guarantee that we'll actually get this Static Shock movie. I'm really excited for it. I hope that we do get it, but there's nothing to be guaranteed. So that's just a synopsis of everything I just talked about, all of my coverage, and why I didn't cover The Suicide Squad. I don't want to touch James Gunn with a 10-foot pole. I think he's a part of the weird part of Hollywood that nobody wants to deal with right now, and that's disgusting and gross, so I didn't touch that. But outside of that, I'm really, really excited for everything that DC has brought to the table. I'm excited about DC's new direction. I'm excited, it's sad that they did a lot of layoffs. I hope that all of those creators can find new work. I think a lot of those creators who got laid off may find new work as this crowdfunding thing grows, and may be better off as crowdfunded artists and talent than they were at DC. I'm hoping for that, and I'm praying for that, because I want everyone, I want everyone who can succeed to succeed, as far as the cream that can rise to the top, even though I know everyone who got fired wasn't, and that's another video for another day. But as far as DC's fandom, even though they're cutting the fat, I think the new ownership, AT&T, is in a positive direction. I think they're about making money. That's what they're about. They're about giving their fans what they want, and that's what's important. So, I'm pretty optimistic about everything. I'm being super fanboy, and I'm happy to just be a fanboy, especially with all the content I've been making. There's been a lot of dark stuff. I'm happy to be a fanboy for once. I'm happy to make nerd content that's just positive. I think as much as I love a lot of the content creators, because of the content that has been created for us to judge, it's just been a negative fest. And it's like, yeah, it's time to just be a nerd and be excited about video games and movies. And the comic industry has been a mess, but there's still beautiful stuff that's going to be made from these characters. And it's easy to forget that if you follow the comic industry too much. I'm excited for DC fandom. I'm excited for what DC has to offer. I was excited to do all this coverage. So I thank you for watching. I thank you for paying attention. I appreciate everything and anyone who watched these videos. It was a joy to do. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you're willing to share and subscribe, I really appreciate that. If you are not, if you hate my content, let me know in the comments so I can get better. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching, and thank you for your time.